Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Be a Movie Snob. We're back, folks.
Hi.
Woo, woo. Crowd goes wild. Simmer
Calm down.
Simmer
Hold
down.
on, everybody.
Woo. Oh, guys, we have a action-packed episode, and much like what the movie we're going to watch, it's going to happen in just a room. Just a room is going to be the. No, we're not watching The Room, or we're not watching Room. Two different movies, by the way. Very, very different movies.
Very different movies.
But we are going to watch a movie that outpunches its budget for sure. It's a timeless piece that's almost part of many curriculums, shall we say? This is not only a snobby pick, folks, but you are going to be enriched as a human being and maybe even find your desired field of study. Who knows? Who knows? A lot of things could happen on this episode. Or you may think, I don't want to listen to these guys ever again. Also a very popular thing to happen. But you know what? We don't care about that because you know what we're here for? To become better movie snobs or worse people. I'm not sure. But in the meantime, guys, we got a new movie. I am Seth. You can call me juror number 1 because I have the notes and the
You're
pads.
the foreman.
You can be the foreman.
I can
Nobody
also
wants
be-
that job.
What is it? Is it juror number? I think the guy with the suit who always changes his mind. That guy. I kind of like
4.
Yeah, juror number 4. Coming to us far from Seattle is our favorite juror number 10 because he just you know those people. You know those people are like
Yikes.
That does
Yikes.
It's not a
Bummer.
compliment.
That's not. I was excited to have that one because I couldn't remember all the ones. But,
yeah, make me Ed Begley.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Hey,
tough.
he killed it. Killed that role though. That was a very
Did a great job.
very good
Don't
role.
want to be associated with that type of
I know,
person
which
in
is
real
why I
life.
definitely wanted to. I was so excited
But
to see the look
thank
on your face when I
you.
said it. Goo.
Thank you for.
Ooh.
It's one of those things like I only remember the numbers of a few of them, and not typically because they were
Good.
the nicest.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
But thank you. It's good. It's good to be here. Happy I made it through. The voir dire process and got on this jury.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And our wise old sage. Juror number, what is it? Is it?
9, I believe.
Or is
9.
it, yeah. Juror number, yep.
Right
Juror
next
number
to
9.
Henry Fonda.
So good. How's it going, Mariah? Good to have you here.
I'm tired.
Yeah, you're doing. You know the irony of it. In this, juror number 9 was quite peppy for his age. So maybe you should just take some
Yeah,
pointers from
he's
Noel.
ragging
He
on other
aged
old.
well.
He aged well. Oh, guys, gals, peoples.
If you're still
If you're
listening,
still
we're
listening,
going to get to it.
We're gonna get to it. Mariah, what movie did we watch this week?
12 Angry Men.
That's right, folks. Not a title that would work today. Well, maybe it would. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it would work today. But we watched the Henry Fonda. No, is that right?
Yeah.
You got me tripped out when
Henry
I started
Fonda.
talking about his son.
Yeah.
Henry Fonda starring and co-produced, but 12 Angry Men, a little pet project of his, came out. Pat, what year did this lovely film come out?
I believe it was 1957.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by the amazing Sidney Lumet. But this Sidney Lumet had not directed a movie before this. This is his first, I believe.
Not a feature.
Yes.
It's a feature. His first
That's right.
feature.
That's right.
He had done, I think, a TV movie
Mm-hmm.
or something. But
Yeah.
yes,
So
that was surprising.
that
to
was
me.
very surprising. I couldn't believe that at all. And I said, "You liar!" And Wikipedia's like, "I got my sources." I'm like, "Okay, you win, Wikipedia. You always do."
We're not willing to outstudy that.
No,
So.
no, we're not. That's the level, guys. That's the level. But in the meantime, guys, before we get too into it, we like to start with a little thing called Hot Takes and Cold Brews. This week, we're sponsored by no one. But go ahead and give us a call. You know, if you're a little like,
Could be you.
could be you. Sponsored by, Fred, who wants to give us $20. We're up for it, Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some kind of scammy meme coin.
There we
Sure.
go.
We'll do it.
That's right. Oh, that's great.
Whatever you need.
All right. Well, since the juror number 10 is coming in hot, Pat, what was your hot take for this very old, very black and white, but not in a black and white era movie? What was your hot take?
No. My hot take was that this is the best courtroom drama without any courtroom drama.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Yeah, no, it's great because it's like arguably the best one ever, despite having no courtroom.
Yeah, you could think of it as setting up a bunch of follow-ups, but all the other kind of courtroomy movies largely follow the lawyers, or even if it is a jury-focused one, it still involves the courtroom side of it. And so it's kind of interesting how it's sort of set a bar and then no one's really tried to mimic it, seemingly. Unless they're just redoing this exact movie or basing an episode of television off this exact movie.
There we go. I was going to say, there's been several television episodes that have done a pretty good job. So that was going to be one of my hot takes as well. This is the best bottle episode I've ever seen.
Very good.
My other hot take was, for having 12 middle-aged men, this is maybe one of the most progressive movies I've ever seen in my life. Just to be real. Like, this is the most...
It's not bad.
It's not preachy, but it is. But it's done smartly and intelligently. And it's a bunch of middle-aged dudes, who are pretty middle to upper middle class, and it doesn't check off a lot of boxes in the what's the test? The old
Bechdel test.
Bechdel test. It does not check any of those boxes. However,
no.
It's better than most of the movies trying to say something nowadays, but they are way too preachy and don't treat us like intelligent human beings. So this movie, again, hits out of its park for the budget, hits out of its park for what it was representing and who it represents in the future. My goodness, way to freaking go. That was too much.
So we don't know how Seth feels about them.
I hope we get down to it.
Well, guys, it's been
soon.
a good episode.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us for The Obvious Has Been Stated.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go.
Mariah, what do you have?
Well, yeah. Oh, here I am.
Pregnant pause.
I'm going to go ahead and bow out of this hot take because I'm not represented in this movie. So nobody cares what I'm going to say anyway.
What do you mean? You're a middle-aged white person? That's true.
My hot take is, as progressive as this is, you're missing a demographic completely.
Oh, for sure.
Not just that.
Women
more than one.
But even
in
like
the lobby.
not just cast, but crew. There's one person.
Oh, I didn't know
Notable.
that. That's great.
One that
That's
they
even
mentioned.
better.
They probably didn't even let her in on set.
Well, not with shoes
Not
on.
that there was room in there, but
I assume she had to be. I think she was a script supervisor, so she's got to be there.
She was out in the
kind of
hallway.
Important to the
I
whole
bet that
thing.
was a tough job on this film.
yeah.
Keeping those-
Maybe
ooh.
we'll get into.
I would, that set would have been a very, well, you never know. I'd say testosterone-driven set. And I wonder if it felt like a sports team did.
To me,
Yeah, I'd like
just
to hear
logistically,
interviews with
With
these
how they
actors.
shot it.
Yeah. Talk about how it went.
We can get into that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm curious. So I hadn't seen this before.
Neither
Have
have I.
seen this before?
First time, and I can't believe this is my first time watching this movie. I just can't believe it because it's such part of the lexicon.
I feel like you were fighting it. Like, oh, let's watch one of the other ones we
I
were talking
didn't
about.
want. Okay, that was
Like,
actually
you tried to get out of it a few
100%.
times.
I did not want to watch this movie at all. Like, I was just like, I was going to be so bored. I just knew, and I think this is why it didn't do well in theaters, to be honest, because what a bore.
Black and white movie.
Well, no, I'm okay with the black and white. I'll watch
Well, but at the time,
yes.
it might have not
Could have not
got the
been.
looks.
Yeah.
But even this one, I was more surprised about how much I like this than I was about Bicycle Thieves.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how surprised I was. I watched this movie. I started it too late. Everyone's asleep in the house but me. So I'm like, I'm not even going to make it through 5 minutes. It gets up and goes immediately. This reminds me, this is why Conclave is good.
I was going to say,
This is literally like when you have this much talented actors and good writing, you don't need anything else. Like this is the art of screenwriting. This is the art of using the cameras to 1,000,000 degrees of just brilliant. So yeah, no, I couldn't believe how into it I was immediately. And I was also like, oh man, I gotta watch Henry Fonda be a good guy because we just watched Once Upon a Time in the West, and I was like, oh, he's awesome as a bad guy. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be so lame as a good guy. But
I was so mad.
Just so
Which
mad.
I get more now after watching this one. Like if this is the Henry Fonda people were more accustomed to seeing,
right?
I get it. He had very everyman, like just a good dude vibes.
Like the quiet, insightful looks where you're like, oh, he's
those
not
eyes.
saying much, but he's saying a lot
Those eyes.
right now.
The only bummer is
Yes.
that's black and white, so you couldn't see those blue eyes. That's the only bummer about this thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, not the lack of women.
No. Who
Yeah,
cares?
I mean, there were women in the lobby, Mariah, when we
let
came
me
in.
explain
There were
this
women.
to you.
Oh, here we go again.
I
This
believe
is a
in
work
the
of feminism art.
yeah,
This
in
is
the
basically Cleopatra
90s Friedkin remake, which I'm kind of curious about actually. The TV remake.
Mm-hmm.
The judge was a woman in that one.
Yeah,
so,
I do. Yeah, I do remember reading about that.
Honest question here, though. Would it be as biting if you had male, female in that situation? And I especially think for the time, I don't think you could come across with that.
I actually looked that up. So in 1957,
Oh, that's great, Pat. Nice job.
Excellent.
Women-
Way to go. Pat, I'm so proud of you right now.
I mean, we'll see how accurate
That's
it is.
great.
People can
Way
comment.
to care enough to look it up.
I was curious, both because it was white and there was only men, right? And so I thought, okay, well, where were we? You know, Civil Rights Act hadn't even
57,
passed yet. And so women and African Americans were allowed to be on federal juries at this time, but not every state had adopted it.
That's surprising.
But you think
and-
New York would have.
Well, and surprise, surprise, like just jury discrimination was going on. And so
What?
even if they were called for jury duty, it is likely that they would have been excused for whatever reason. And so it is not crazy that it was an all white, male jury.
No.
Yeah.
I was.
But
Yeah.
so to the time it was accurate. And I think to your point, Seth, like I think what was interesting about it, I don't know if we're here already, but like there's the version of like, oh, look, we're all white guys, so we're all going to think the same. And then as the
Wait,
movie progresses,
I have to stop. So they all were Caucasian.
I believe so. The
Because
one guy that was like, "Well, I grew up in the slums." I
Well, there's
still think
two
he was
guys.
pretty white.
That's so.
Quincy.
I would. And I didn't look up the ethnicity
Yeah,
of the
Quincy
actors.
MD. No, the
At
other
all.
one. The other one.
It-
Who first?
Okay, hear me out on this one though.
No, I think he was just
no,
European
you're
or
right.
something.
Yeah, so hear me out on this though. Racism in America changes to different groups all the time, right?
Yeah.
So the racism that we are familiar with for Hispanic and Black people in our neighborhood in this time, and Muslim, Middle Eastern, would probably not have been, because back it would have been more maybe for Italian, or even Greek, like different the old world.
Yeah, we're
Europeans.
post-war.
Yes.
So
there are all these
it's-
immigrants coming from post-war situations. So I assume that racism is not the same people groups that we are used to in today's pop culture. That would be my
Yeah.
So
who lives
although
in
they
the
were not,
slum is
It'd be more for New York too at the time. I think it was probably more centered on low income areas, but they generally would be together. So it was a Puerto Rican teenager, but he was probably around, that area where he was from.
Jets and the Sharks, baby.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're talking about.
And
here.
that's my point. I'm like, because he's Puerto Rican, I think it would be viewed, especially by Patrick's favorite character, as kind of the same thing, right? Like that's like it's the other. It's the other because it's the thing about this movie is it's so clear in its attack on racism and classism in the same breath.
The mistrust is not just because he's Puerto Rican, but also because he's lower class. And
so I guess it's not an argument, but it's like saying, there's not a person of color, but there is that representation in the defendant and in two or three of the jurors.
Yeah.
Just because they that would be my...
Yeah, but I think in the jury pool, and I think the thing that works about it being fairly homogenous visually as far as the jurors go is you start in that sense of like, oh, we're all on the same team in here, right? Everybody. And then as
like this is gonna be easy. I gotta get to a game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, we all think the same thing in here, and then you realize, oh, well, you're in a different socioeconomic class, or you have a different so that's what made, I think, the white folk only thing work. What did I do? Oh. Come on, you know what I mean.
I was so excited to do that to you, Pat. I was going to try to work it out in the intro, but I forgot to do it in the intro.
Before.
Oh my gosh.
If you're just listening.
Patrick has just been targeted.
Pat felt like Juan Soto at the Yankees Mets game.
I got the
Juan Soto
treatment by the Mets. Yeah,
by the Yankees.
Seth
Come
and Mariah.
On, we love Juan Soto, baby.
Yes.
Sure, he doesn't run out singles, but you know what?
Well,
we like Juan Soto.
Yeah, let's not get into that. I have thoughts there.
Yeah. Hey, come on, he never did. He
Seth,
never did on any other team. Why do people give him junk now? He's fine. He just needs to hit the ball
Seth and
more.
Mariah shunned me by slowly turning their backs. And I gotta say, it doesn't feel good.
I bet.
Like, there's something like kind of like silly in the movie in a way, but like if a room of adults did that to you,
it's done
you'd
so
be like,
well.
It takes you back to the whole super sensitive, rejection you feel like in junior high when all of a sudden one of those friends goes, we're not talking to somebody right now, and everybody like cold shoulders you.
Not a thing I think on the guy side of the podcast.
Well, okay, here I am talking about to nobody.
Well, I will say this,
I think that is
wrong.
That
you can't
psychological warfare is more female centric.
Well, and it takes you guys that long to mature and do it as middle-aged men, because you didn't even think of it up until this age.
I'm taking Mariah's side, but it's just done different. So hear me out, though. Hear me out. I'm taking Mariah's side because in junior high, what was cool about the movie versus the real life junior high experience, because I've been shunned by groups in junior high when I dated the wrong girl. I mean, that happens. That's a thing. So, or wasn't dating any girl, the more reality.
That you were aware of.
And she goes to another high school.
She's
Canada,
Canadian, eh? She's like beauty Canadian.
Seth went outside of the district.
So they talked about it in high school or junior high to ignore them. But what was great about this scene was the lack of communication and it just happening. That was my favorite part because that's what, like, in real life is like, oh, we're not friends with her now. Like, there's a little or whatever else. So that was great. And even at the Yankees game,
if you feel any shame, then that works.
You know what's great about
that's one way to turn a bully right there too. I mean,
I don't know. Yankees fans are still bullies, but that's another sound altogether.
Well, it was a mix too, because it's like That was sort of like the high road version of the shun, and then the one guy's like, "Shut your mouth, and if you speak again, I'll shut it for you," or whatever.
Oh my god!
So there was also a little bit of physical threat.
Sure.
With
Yes.
it.
Sure.
And then he didn't talk after that.
No.
And they never. The interesting part about that. Sorry, we should talk a little bit about the plot. In the plot,
We're all over the place.
So, guys, the plot. Henry Fonda is our main character. And the fun thing about this movie, we keep using numbers because there's literally no names given until the last scene of the movie, which is very fun. But we know all their numbers because they say, "Oh no, let's do the numbers and let's sit in order," which I love.
They sit in order.
I love that. No, that
Very
was a great little dialogue there to kind of be cheeky, so you guys can keep track of who's who. And so everyone votes guilty for this case that seems to be open and shut, except for Henry Fonda's character, who's like, "I'm not convinced." And basically, it's like, I don't think the defendant did a good enough job. And then they start to question. And then they take votes.
The defense attorney. Yeah.
Defense attorney. Thank you. And so then they take votes, and then things start to shift. And the question is, are we really willing to put this guy on the execution chair because it is a murder case, and the person is a minority? They say Puerto Rican in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't remember them actually
saying it, but
I thought it was just
I believe
Mariah.
She does the research.
Or the garbage people or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's the way number 10 and you thought about that. I suppose that's.
My internal monologue was going.
So, and then as the movie goes along, they have a conversation and talk about what actually happened, and if it's hearsay, and kind of they lawyer their way through. It's a very great. What really happened, if you're a fan.
How it should have played out.
Yes.
Like, here's the information we should have read into or questioned during this whole trial, because who knows what that defense attorney was doing. Sitting there with his thumb up his nose.
That.
Like, this is how it could have gone.
And it was great.
If we had a competent person who cared.
And for all of us who grew up with Matlock and Perry Mason and all of the Sherlock Holmes. Or Quincy. Or all of these Poirot or whatever, it's like instead of that, it's they were not given enough information by the people who were supposed to give them information, so they in turn become their own lawyers. And sort of figure it out.
Henry Fonda becomes the meddling busybody who asks all the questions, annoys everybody to the point till they get down to the truth.
Not the recommended way you're supposed to handle yourself in a jury, but more entertaining for us, for sure.
Way more entertaining. And so many good moments. And so when we talk about certain moments, it's when either people are coming and back and forth. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, they all vote not guilty, even though all of them but Henry Fonda voted guilty. Sorry, spoiler alert. And the reason why I spoiled it right now is because the most racist character, which we don't even know he's the most racist. We assumed one of the tough guys was the more racist ones. But it's fun that they reveal, finally, juror number 10 comes out and says, "Guys," and he's basically these
goes
people,
on this rant.
Them and us sort of situation. And it was just...
Well, he hints at it.
He hints at it,
He's been hinting at it. Or, I mean, it was pretty deliberate, and then it was, too far.
It was insanely too far. And that's the fun thing about this movie. Every time that people put themselves... The dialogue is written so they incriminate themselves with what they say every single time.
They refute their own arguments.
Every time.
I loved that.
So good.
And Seth, you mentioned it earlier. There is... like business schools or management schools will show this to show interactions. And basically, Henry Fonda is kind of, even though he's this everyman, he is like a psychological warrior. Like, he knows how to sort of play everyone without it being like gross, but he knows how to get them to unravel their own arguments in like the most precise way. But he's never like a jerk.
Yeah.
Even when he is kind of like poking somebody pretty
Raymond Burr
distinctly.
would be proud.
Yeah. Well,
it's
and even
so good.
And even speaking of like the whole bullying or, alpha males versus like the, quieter guys that at first seem like they're just going to go along with the whole thing, you see very quickly that they all show up. They all, once their mind is changed, they are actually resilient and say, actually, no, I'm changing my vote. And that's kind of another like human study piece kind of it.
Yes.
Is that the guys that you think are going to be cowards the whole way through are actually turn out to be kind of the stronger earlier switches, which is nice.
Oh, it's great. And that's what makes it, because anytime it's predictable, it's not a great movie. And what's great about this is it's not the predictable way, and that it's what makes movies great. It's why we love Mementos and everything Christopher Nolan does. We love, that's good filmmaking. It's not lazy. It's well written.
How about how long we actually see the defendant?
Oh,
I
what was it 2 scenes?
went back.
1 scene? Is it only 1 scene?
One scene.
It's like
so
a zoom,
good.
and it's just his face,
so
and
good.
it's 5 seconds maybe.
And I remember.
And you're like, is he 16? The actor. You're like, they got a kid that looks young.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah,
and his eyes weren't perfect, which I loved because it has like one more. He's not pretty, but he's definitely not white, and it's like this great
and doesn't give you a clear read either.
Yes.
Like, oh, this poor kid is about to
he
start
looks
crying.
concerned.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh, he
for
looks,
sure.
and he looks terrified, concerned and terrified for sure.
But
it's
not perfectly 100% where you're like, oh, he's 100% innocent. This should be.
Oh no, Boris Kaufman.
I
went cinematographer.
Back.
Oh my gosh.
I went back and I was like, wait, did we ever see that? And I was like, oh yeah, it's just this one shot. Because I think when, racist guy started yapping, you kind of, this is where you could modernize this or put it almost in any point in time.
Any
and be
point
like,
in time, yeah.
The dialogue works for any picked on class or race in America at any point in time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wait, who are we? Who are we saying are these like garbage people in this one?
Us
and then you
and
kind of go,
them.
I don't really know, vaguely, not straight Caucasian, like
Yes.
milk toasty white, but like also he would potentially put Caucasian on his, census. So it was this kind of weird, vaguely ethnic kid.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny too because Quincy, Jack Klugman, I believe is the actor's name.
Yeah.
And I don't remember his juror number. He's supposed to be. I don't know if he's supposed to be.
He just
was
said he
kinda
grew up
tan.
in the slums.
Yes.
Right.
But he was kind of tan looking more than I think his natural complexion.
But again,
I
being in black
feel
and
like
white,
maybe they brown faced him ever so slightly.
Maybe.
being black and white helps because it's this fun
Yes.
like we don't know, but he was he was that, but he's now the classism is still there because he was in the slums, but he definitely isn't now, and that was an interesting thing as well. I mean, maybe he could be, but
he looks like a respectable guy, right?
Yes.
And how could a respectable guy come from the slums? I think it felt like that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Versus, like, it didn't seem like he wasn't really. I don't know. It was vague enough where you don't really know how well he's doing in life, but you definitely could tell
for sure.
Where he came from.
And we got to. The uneducated white male that is so angry. It's a very it's very well done in this movie. And it's very hard to not kind of cringe at how it's been pervasive throughout all of history.
Oh, it's just classic racist old guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and racist young guy, because there's also the you know what I mean, because the moment. What I loved about this, we never talked about our first reaction, right? We didn't give this, so I'm gonna kind of give my reaction of how this worked out. The last juror to break obviously was an abusive father himself to his son, and he's the one. He's the most combative to juror number 8, Henry Fonda's. He's the one who everyone thinks he's gonna actually stab him, and what I loved about this movie is it didn't over explain what he was going through to break him in the end. Because I feel like movies today would take more scenes to explain my son and my son and I had a falling out or whatever. Like they said the one line.
Set up the dynamic or set up, I
haven't spoke to him in 2 years and that was it. And then everything after that, we kind of lived with it and we just knew.
Yeah, you're a jerk face.
Yeah. It was super efficient. Everything about the character development in this was really precise. And I think they kind of repeated stuff in a way with 12 characters.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be that subtle.
No.
Right? So racist guy was fairly racist, but it was like covered for the first couple times and then became more blatant. But I also like that. Like it was easy to follow without totally spelling out everything.
Yeah. It was just, it was, I mean, also it reflects in the length of the movie too. I mean, the dialogue was succinct or the screenplay was succinct enough that you aren't overloaded with information that you didn't need. They didn't waste time building stories and histories of people that we didn't need to know. It was just the right amount of information to give you that,
Yeah.
Seth, is it a problem that I can't see you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With what's that? The Simpsons music. Do, 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 do. Keep going.
I think the camera died.
Camera died. I had a battery that I thought would last, but it did not. Oh, crap.
Okay.
Oh, we're still going. Is that recording though?
Well, that's unfortunate.
Oh, this might be an audio. Oh, well, maybe that's just a
What?
I don't think we need to respond to what Seth's doing. He's having a conversation with himself. I often start walking into those conversations with Eric and realize, you know what? I'm not necessary. This is gonna play out the way it needs to play out without. Just wait. He'll get through it. What? No. Yes.
Oh, there you are.
Sorry. I was walking down
And we're back.
in college, going down the dorm stairs. Full conversation with myself. Like, full. And then my buddy Dante and his girlfriend Elizabeth sit on the couch and they just kind of looked at me like, "Hey man, you doing all right?"
Do we need to be here for this?
All right, do you have the
I'm almost done. Just shut your mouth.
Let me finish. Let me finish my conversation, please.
All right, where were we?
This is not for you.
This is not. What was the next one? What's the thing?
Well,
I said
we didn't.
I forget.
Okay.
We didn't talk about really first impressions, I guess, of the movie.
Okay, let's do first impressions. Yeah, because this is the first. Is this your first time watching it?
Mm-hmm.
This is great.
I've
kind of given mine away already, so you go ahead. I'm still
I think we
kept me awake. Really impressed. Such good writing. So concise.
I thought, I guess related to that, they didn't waste them funneling into the juror room and getting to, ready and fiddling around and all that was going over the credits or under the credits.
Mm-hmm.
And it was,
smart.
and then you realize, oh, this is a oneer.
Yeah.
That's a really long shot and you're going in scene to scene, learning the characters. It was just so clean.
So good.
This is one of those things, I think, kind of like A Few Good Men or movies that feel like based off plays.
Yes.
Which is based off kind of a teleplay, but
no, it was a teleplay.
it just is so well, right? But that's TV,
Mm-hmm.
movie, whatever version,
You
and
guys
that was
are
even
so
cut down
judgy
more.
TV, right? TV can.
But no,
have-
that was cut down even more, right? But it just
We
felt
start
like
film, then we go to TV.
you could imagine the play version of this movie
Mhm.
still working quite well
Yeah.
as just this big.
You don't
room.
need to leave a set
Yeah.
or redo
Yeah,
anything.
but how the camera moved us around from conversation to conversation and this slowly kind of setting up who these characters were and how the case had kind of gone. I was just really impressed with how kind of captivating it was right away. And like they didn't waste credit time to do
Yeah.
anything. It was like, no, I'm learning about
Yeah.
what's happening
Yeah.
as these names are popping up. And I was like, oh, Henry Fonda produced this? You know, there's a few like,
Yeah.
you know, and then I was like, is that Quincy M.E.? You know, like what's going on?
Yeah.
So there's a few bits in there where I was kind of pulled in right away, and just how quickly we go from the court to the room.
Yeah. They just
It's
didn't
like this movie is not messing around.
No,
yeah.
they didn't waste any of our time.
Not yeah. So what did you guys? Because when I first saw it, I was hook, line, and sinker in. Right? What were you? What were you watching it? Were you in? Were you?
It took me a minute to get in, but I don't know. I anticipated, okay, this is what we're doing. This is going to be so boring. But I really appreciated the fact that, in theory, this is not that exciting a story. You know, it's jurors deliberating. That's all it is.
It's just a kid's
You
life
don't
on
even
the
get
line.
to see the trial.
Going to the electric chair. How's that
but
not exciting to you, Mariah?
Let me finish.
Okay, sorry.
You don't even get to see the trial. So you're just, here you are with these guys in a room. And what I appreciated so much about it is, yes, it comes down to it. There's, everybody's quickly ready to just kill this kid. And then slowly but surely people start turning. But at the same time, what I appreciated so much about it is that even though you're just in a room, the perspective shifts as you're going, as it gets more and more, as people start turning, as, the heat turns up in there.
Oh, the heat. We didn't even talk about that. That's great.
The perspective of, you're shooting from up above, and then slowly but surely you're getting right at eye level.
Lower.
And then slow, and then even, climax, you get, right up there from below.
Shooting with wide angle lenses up top. Some of them was like a straight up top shot.
Yeah.
And then telephoto, freaking 7200 lenses. Like, yeah, I was loving it. I was loving it.
There's
that's what to me. There's snobby stuff around. Like,
is that right? There was lighting in one spot, and then they had to
work
with that.
So that was because they were working so cheaply.
Yeah,
they didn't do coverage back and forth. So a shot wasn't like we're doing my side and then we'll do your side. They did. We're lighting this part of the room.
Yeah.
Let's do every shot in this part of the room with this lighting.
Yeah.
That's where the script. That's why I was saying Faith Hooley,
we got one
the script supervisor,
we got to
is like.
There may have been one woman, but she did her freaking job.
Yeah.
She's the
It'll
reason
be like,
this movie's
no,
good.
remember the knives in the table in this shot because we already did that scene.
You say there's only one woman, but I say she's half the reason this movie's good.
Superwoman.
Well, and she did great. Some, I think, continuity errors because how insanely difficult that was.
Right.
Whose jackets where? If you're shooting,
I
think they said there was like 365 shots in this movie, which I thought was like
how hilarious.
Actually, not that much compared to like
20,
a normal maybe movie.
21 days, I think it ended up being.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Well, it was like 2 weeks of actual filming because they rehearsed over and over.
Oh, that's great.
Which is how I think they got those oneers to be
cool
so
that
good.
Sydney put them in there and just we're just going to practice. We're not going to film anything. You're just going to be in here getting uncomfortable and starting to feel claustrophobic and get a sense of what this would be. And it's under 400 square feet. I mean,
how did they?
This is not a big room.
I assume the walls come off so they can put cameras different places and stuff like that, like most sets in Hollywood. Okay.
Yeah, it's a set.
Yeah, so you still can move walls to get shots and everything, but man, impressive. It's just
to me, how economical it was, and that's why Henry Fonda hired Sidney Lumet or Lumet. Do we know how you say his name? That's not something I looked up.
I think it's Lumet.
Is it Lumet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that sounds snobby.
Let's
so
make
I
him. Let's make him French.
Hello, if
Sidney
you're going to
Lumet.
be,
yeah.
Yeah, but why they hired him was because he'd done a bunch of television stuff and he was on budget and on time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, that's why this guy became
Yeah, I like how
you
you
know,
did those
a
episodes.
very prestigious
Yeah.
director.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he did, you know, an episode of like the Colgate Hour or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's that kind of thing, and you're like, okay, great, you can do my movie.
Yeah.
And so he'd do it for cheap, and then he had these like amazing choices. But yeah, the lighting setup was nuts. Also, shout out to the cinematographer who just came off an Oscar win for On the Waterfront.
I mean, 3 years
Uh,
earlier, but yes.
But you know, that's his previous project basically.
No,
His
that's
name
Sugar's there. Sorry.
Right actor, wrong movie.
Boris Kaufman.
Could have been a contender. There, I got there. Could have been a contender.
Yeah.
By the
great
way,
movie, actually.
I never knew that. I always thought that was from Raging Bull. That line.
Oh,
I didn't know it was
just
from On the
boxing
Waterfront.
in general.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like boxing, but on the waterfront, you're like, oh yeah. Anyway, sorry. I
yeah.
digress.
On the Waterfront, it's good.
Anywho.
But yeah, like the making of it doesn't feel like a cheap movie, but there's clearly like this time where just craft people are being crafty, right?
Yes.
Like we are going to be good at our jobs and efficient, and we're not going to mess around. We're going to make this movie.
Yeah, it gives you
But
the
it felt
same.
so steady.
It gives you the same feel as Conclave, even though
Or-
Conclave had the huge budget, and you're thinking you're taking a semi not super thriller kind of situation here and kind of holding people's interest the whole time, and
What?
it's just conversation and similar outfits, and like there's not anything popping out at you.
You know what I thought of is something happened. No, the other one that was shot in like a month. That won all the Oscars
Oh,
Uh,
with Clark Gable.
with Clark Gable.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, this is
It happened
another.
one night.
It happened one night. Like
Yeah.
it's just another one of those. Like, hey, let's just do our job and get it done. And it's so great.
Well, and that with him, he was like, "You got 3 weeks. Let's go."
With her.
Yeah,
With
Usher
actress,
with
yeah.
her.
That was so good. This is one of those great things. It's like we know we have this great cast. We know we have this great writing.
Yeah, another ensemble that was
Just
great.
oh,
Yeah.
killed it. It was Conclave's such a great modern example of this. Movie.
And also at the time this movie was filmed, those people weren't well known as they are to us now, seeing like, oh, I know these names, I know some of these faces. At the time, it wasn't look at this star-studded ensemble cast. They were still relatively
few
unknown people.
Oscar noms at least.
What about
But yeah,
Henry
Jack
Fonda?
young
Henry
Jack
Fonda was
Warden.
Yeah,
Yeah, Henry
was.
Fonda was
Okay,
a
sure.
name.
He brought all the interest.
Young Jack Warden is wild, right? The baseball juror. I kind of
Yeah.
forget his number.
Yeah.
7, maybe.
Mm.
It is so
Mickey Mantle.
weird.
I like what you did there.
It is so weird. There's just stuff like that where, like, honestly, Quincy, Jack Klugman, I'm like, yeah, that's Quincy. He looks largely the same.
Mm-hmm.
Older Jack Warden is like the one in my brain. Big mustache and, you know, receding hairline. And to see youngish guy, it's so weird.
Yeah.
But he's great. He's great as the obnoxious, you know, I'll do whatever gets me out of here fastest guy.
Yeah.
There's a great thing too in this movie. The tropes, like every character is both authentic and a trope of a character.
Yeah, the sales guy that's going on and on.
Yeah, the sort of fastidious Wall Street guy, the racist, the blue collar painter, the educated foreign, you know, European guy. Like it was,
guy. Yeah.
yeah, like all these things. You're like, yep, great, love it.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't feel fake or forced on like anybody. And this movie shouldn't be as good as it is. It's kind of but another takeaway I had
Really?
is like it just felt like, I mean, it was a good script. That writer didn't do much after
Changing,
this.
Yeah.
Basically, his credits become every time someone ripped off this movie. Is he was like given story by credit, you know, for every international version of, you know, 12 Angry Men.
Hey, I would not be sad.
And so it's like, I mean, obviously, and Sidney Lumet, Lumet coming off of television.
Probably is Lumet now he says it.
I
It
don't know what
sounds
it is.
better.
Oh,
LeMay sounds better.
it's what I didn't look up, even though I thought I should. And then like a bunch of character actors outside of Henry Fonda.
Oh, it is Lumet.
And you're like, this.
Lumet.
Oh, okay.
Dang it.
That's too bad. But it's just one of those like the pieces are all good, and so it just is
not good.
Good
great.
movie.
They're not good. They're great.
Yes.
Like that's the thing about this movie. This isn't a good movie. This is a great movie. Spoiler alert. This might make my top 10 list. Like I am happy to kick some other ones off.
Now
this
we
movie.
really know.
Oh
how he
no,
feels
we're getting
about
real. Like I don't know if I'm gonna get rid of Metropolis or maybe Tree of Life. I'm kind of getting over all the snobbiness here. Oh, actually no, my top 10's pretty good.
I mean, I put it over Tree of Life.
Yeah, you shut your mouth. All right, it's.
There's an actual plot in here.
Who needs a plot?
When the wind is blowing through the trees, why would you need a plot?
It goes to 11. You don't need a plot.
Butterfly.
So
Dinosaur.
This movie, it's still, I feel like the best, most efficient movie I've ever seen, and that's including It Happened One Night, because It Happened One Night is so based on Clark Gable's charm that I give this movie the nod over that one.
Well, and this is ensemble. This isn't.
Yeah, exactly right. And you have everyone's hitting. Like everyone's just rolling, and although it reminds me of My Girl Friday or the older version of that one, where you have all these like characters in a room doing their thing, and then just better. This is just better in every way, shape, or form. So,
well, I think the other thing that I think is just exciting about it is the limitations they put on it, right? That it is one room. And so you're sort of forced. Well, I mean, lesser hands would have just done a bad job. But like, it's what makes it so exciting that they're like, oh, what if we drop the camera over the course of the movie and change lenses to like amplify. I mean, that's my other hot take. It was like, is this the hottest looking movie I've ever seen? Like the sweat.
And then you can tell too.
Like I did feel bad for them.
Uncomfortable. That fan wouldn't work for so long. And then the muggy rain shows up and you're like, they don't even look like they're getting any relief out of the rain.
No, they had to shut the windows because it was pouring in. And
oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it just worked.
And then you go back to the whole, that guy is coughing everywhere.
Yeah,
they're all gonna have.
I was freaking out
the
whole time.
Worst
Thank you, Mariah.
illness.
Thank you, Mariah. That is a great point to bring up.
Did anybody else get creeped
No
out?
one's wearing a mask. We have no.
Yeah, my first jury that I served on, we had to wear masks. It was pandemic.
Yeah, well, lucky you. That guy, his snot was everywhere. I had to like wipe my hands off because of the snot that got on me by watching that movie.
Yeah,
it confused me. That was a big one. I was like, why? One, because the nice guy, kind of the meek juror banker guy, was like, does anyone want a cough drop?
Everyone is doing cough drop. Everyone has had a cough drop.
And Henry Fonda's like, yeah, I'll have a cough drop.
They probably all had codeine in them.
Probably. What kind of
yeah, well, but it was this weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like, why see if cough drops? And then the other guy's like, these summer colds are the worst. And I was like, it was a weird one where there was a nice finish to that, and that like when he really needed one, he didn't get it later.
Gone.
But I was kind of confused as to why this man had cough drops in the first place.
Yeah.
In a muggy summer situation. Like I don't walk around with cough drops.
Yeah.
Do you think people got sick a whole lot more back then?
Maybe, or maybe they
were
really
possible.
tasty cough drops, like Ludens or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to talk about.
Yeah. Well, sorry.
I'll go for it. Yeah.
I was just gonna say the other thing I really appreciated about the movie as I was watching it was like it's sort of that management schooly part, like the power of asking questions.
Yes.
And how Henry Fonda just got everyone to convince themselves, basically
Yeah.
I'm gonna
that
pull
their
something up
argument
here,
was flawed.
Pat.
Well, and also in just the repetitive, like strategic repetitiveness of the facts. The way they repeated them, every time it was repeated, somebody else fell. Somebody else was like, "Wait a minute. I was thinking about that and this didn't make sense about it." Like they finally just turned their brains on and listened. And then it started happening like dominoes. People were catching it and going, "Hey, also."
Right. Okay, guys, I got a new section for the show. Words of wisdom from Seth.
Oh.
It's gonna be a
Have
short.
you guys got 5
man.
seconds?
That's all I got for you. That's all I got for you. Pat let it off perfectly. So I watched this movie. I'm reading the book Oppenheimer, the biography that inspired the movie.
He's listening.
And listen, yeah, shut your mouth. I like Audible, all right?
Hey,
Not sponsored.
that's as good as reading with your eyes.
Thank
Whatever
you, Pat.
gets you through the content.
Thank you,
Disagree.
Patrick. Tell all
As
my
someone
friends
who's
that.
losing their eyesight slowly but
everyone
surely
is
each
making
day.
fun of me for listening to book
No.
after book. Thank you,
And
Patrick.
you can say I read it. You can
Thank
say
you,
that,
Patrick.
and I
I
will
have read-
validate
Only if you have your trophy shelf where
I
you
have-
have the book too. and
I
you can
have
put
bought
it up
actually
there.
several of them just to be like, I want to talk about it.
Like, oh, I read that.
Because
Well, that's how it's pronounced.
I devour them. Anyways, Oppenheimer, along with juror number 8, did this one thing really well. And as for listening to the book today, because Oppenheimer was brilliant in coming up with ideas, he's a terrible mathematician, but he's really good at coming up with the big ideas, and everyone else kind of cleaned up his work. But one thing Oppenheimer did really well, oh no, it wasn't something Oppenheimer did, it was one of his mentors, asked him good questions. So this is my words of wisdom that comes from this movie and the Oppenheimer book. Learning how to ask good questions is more important than learning how to give good answers. Wow. Thanks, guys.
I like
my-
that.
Wow.
That was
I like
my
that
words of
advice,
wisdom for this episode.
That's excellent.
Because, and that's what this juror number 8 proves throughout the whole movie. And that's what the question in Oppenheimer was, is this a physical question or is this a math question? And Oppenheimer's like, I don't know. And that helped him spawn multiple things that now is quantum theories
leading question.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that helped.
You could consult with a bunch of businesses if you could teach them what is a good question.
It's everything.
And I've been to that training, and
Guys,
it is nice.
Let's get personal. Me too. I've been to a master class where all they did was one person sits in the middle, and at all the other business leaders, we just ask questions on how to solve the problems that they're dealing with, and you don't have to be in the same situations. The power of the question is way more power than the full thing. Which this kills me to say, by the way. I am a trivia night nerd. I love trivia nights. I love knowing the stupid knowledges.
Knowledges.
All the knowledges I know.
Good. Sounds like you do great at trivia.
I do great at trivia. I don't do well
They
at
don't
spelling
understand his
and
answers,
grammar.
but he does have some of the knowledges,
As
and
long
he
as-
tries to verbalizes
As
them.
someone could translate me, that's the way
Yeah.
to go. Then
You need
we
a-
will kill.
You
we
We
need
will-
a wingman.
We will not lose trivia night, folks.
We need a wingman to translate for Seth.
Anyways, that's a fun thing about this movie and life, and just
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
And it's not just us that thought these things. Literally, law schools and management schools and business schools show this movie for different reasons.
I think Megan had my wife had to watch it in what's it called? Ethics class. They had to watch it in ethics class.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weirdly educational. It's edutainment without you knowing it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's preachy
first
done
edutainment.
right. It's preachy done right.
Yeah.
If you can write this well, it's this is the way you got to preach to people. Come on, New Hollywood. Don't get lazy. Do it right.
Maybe before, I don't know if we're ready for fun facts, if you guys have other stuff,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I was
we-
curious if
Bring 'em.
We're
without
about to pass the movie time, guys, so we got to get these
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
facts quick.
without picking juror number 8, who was your favorite juror?
The last guy, the second last guy to turn.
Oh,
We haven't
three,
we
four?
haven't talked about him yet.
The
because
guy who doesn't sweat.
yeah, the guy who was like he was the cold-hearted, like he's like, no, I hear what you're saying, but I still think he's guilty because he was true to himself, and it was great.
He did say something a little racist, but he said it nicer than the other guy.
Yes.
Very early.
Yes, and
It's like, well, people who do come from these, socioeconomic positions do tend to, orient toward violence or something. And you're like, that sounded nicer than these people are trash. But
yes,
it still
again,
was kind of the same.
I don't want to say I give him a pass because I feel like I'm gonna get destroyed.
No,
but I do say like that is probably his education and his educated ignorance because he's a well-educated. You know what I always say?
He was trying to get it right.
Yeah, he really was. Like, in his heart of hearts, that cold-hearted German heart that I assume he was portraying.
Yeah, was he German? I felt like he didn't really have an accent,
just
but
European.
he felt like
he felt Australian.
It did feel like he could have been
not German.
a
He's
German
hungry Austrian for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
The watchmaker.
So that was my favorite because there's a great litmus test of like he was the polar opposite of juror number 8, both in their genuine hearts were just trying to find the answers. And he thought he was doing right by that. So that I love that because it helped put the other characters in place because you had the one stoic facts guy also against the stoic. So between those two, it made it logical because I feel like if you
proved he had won an intellectual argument.
Because if you don't have a logical guys, here we go. This is gonna get real relevant real quick here. If you don't have someone on both sides who believes in actual relevance and facts, then you can't have a conversation. So not only was he necessary, but he's what's missing in a lot of the conversations we have in today's world, which makes it almost impossible to have
a good faith conversation where you're trying to actually get to the truth
I trust
that is out there.
Someone who has the opposite point of view in life, but actually wants the truth rather than someone who just likes to be contrarian, most of the people on the internet today, to actually have a humble attitude towards it. And the other one was like, I'm right. But they're like, this is what I see. And the other guy came across more harsh, of course, but he still was willing to change. And he told the other guy, quit talking. You're ruining what we're trying to do here. You're not helping us.
Yeah.
So it was really, so that he was by far, he almost made it work. Without him, I don't think this works. Critical
to the movie, for sure. And I appreciated his desire for actual justice in the situation. Yes. That's a good one. Good choice. Good choice.
Nice.
Mariah, what about you?
I choose number 1, the foreman. I mean, if I don't get to pick Henry Fonda, I think he was the most interesting. For one, it was one guy who was for sure ready to say guilty for the majority of the time, but he was also able to like stay calm and run the show and not get, I mean, I think everybody, especially in the beginning, was just irritated that they were having to drag this on when it was kind of a foregone conclusion. But you could just, I mean, I just felt like I was watching him so much of the time because I felt like he was about to lose it, like fly off the handle, be like, quit wasting our time, but he kept, all right, time to redo this and let's vote again.
True.
And I felt like he was just kind of on the edge a little bit. Like, I feel like this guy could crack, but he never did. He did a good job.
Yeah.
Also, he's in Breakfast at Tiffany's, and I like his character in that movie, too.
No hate for that.
He's also the detective that gets cut up and falls down the stairs in Psycho.
Yeah.
The big down the stairs shot. That guy.
See, he's cool on so many levels.
Nice job, Mariah.
He is cool.
I like that pick more and